step in, and what's really nice about the 22s is that as soon as you walk in, to your left is a restroom. No wet baths in this one. Porcelain toilet. Any storage. Keep the TP there. There's a plug on the side. Here's your hair dryer. This has a 2000 watt inverter, so it can handle heavy loads like that. Stainless steel sink. 1x or 5x if you want to spend 30 minutes looking at yourself. There's a shower with a clothesline coming across. Hang your clothes there. There's a seat in there as well. Privacy shade on the window. Here's your solar panel monitor. I'm pulling 126 watts at the moment. There's your battery levels and fresh gray and black tank levels. Fugatti water heater. Stepping out into the trailer, the 22 has a rather large closet. So really deep space up top, and there's a wardrobe hanging here. You could also use one of those shelving systems to hang on to that. Carpeted bottom. There's a TV on a 12 volt system, so it doesn't use that much electricity. Counter space is so crucial in any trailer. And here we have your refrigerator. Down. There's some shelves in there. These are rather deep. Be good for stacking like tin foil, saran wrap. There's a ventilation hood here in the Caravel. So when you're cooking on this gorgeous 3-burner stove, you can ventilate out. And you have cabinets above. If you're a tall person, having cabinets that open outward towards you can be a bit uncomfortable. Having these left to right sliders makes it a bit easier. And speaking of height, there's a 9'5" clearance inside. There's no air conditioner ceiling mounted here. It's on the roof and it's ducted in. This is the intake for that air conditioner. And then while we're on the topic of the ceiling, there's 2 max fans. And when you turn these on, you don't even need an air conditioner in warm weather. It's just ventilated and cool because these are insulated. There is a 2-inch thick wall, and we have batt insulation inside of those with an insulated underbelly. So these things are handled for 4 seasons. Down here, back to the kitchen, there's a convection microwave. This is essentially an air fryer or a standard microwave. Some storage underneath. Every one of these cabinets, doors, and latches needs to have an earthquake-proof latch, because when you're driving, there's a 7.0 earthquake happening in your trailer at all times. So the loud latches are just making sure things are stowed and not going to be flying open while you're traveling. Hey, quick thanks for watching. If you found one thing helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you found 2 things helpful, please consider subscribing for more Airstream videos like this. Counter space is premium, so having sink covers can make it nice when you're not actually washing any dishes. But when you need to, this is a rather deep single basin stainless steel. Gorgeous fixture right there. Plug behind it. And a privacy shade if you are at a campsite, if your neighbors are right there. Coming into the bedroom, the 22 has some space between this partition wall and the bed. So when you close these curtains, it gives you a nice open feel. You don't feel cramped in this bedroom. So the bed width is the width of a full-size bed, but the length of a queen. 54 by 80. And if you love pillows, you get a bunch. And then behind these pillows, this is kind of cool. There's an extra storage back here. You can keep some bedding or whichever you like. There are USB-C and USB-A type plugs at the end there. Same here. This is the dimmer switch for the room, for the bedroom. And there's a plug here and a storage cubby there. So having these panoramic windows at the front can make for some gorgeous afternoon naps or waking up to some really beautiful views. down here, you do get a lot of storage. So if you're making this full-time living, this is possible, right? All your routines are based on where that thing is going to come from. Where is that pot and pan going to come from? Where is my bin full of my clothes? And this is rather deep. The bed itself is on these hydraulic pistons, and you have tons of space under there. That right there is part of the exterior compartment. I'll show that later. And then on this side, for context, this is the dinette. You get more storage underneath that goes rather deep. Also accessible from underneath the couches. Above the bed, you get these overhead roof locker storages that are also rather deep. Speaker system. When this part is set up like a bed, it is really comfortable and a nice place to relax as well. If you are comparing a Bambi to a Caravel on the same floor plan, I think one of the advantages Caravel has is that you have these large windows that have 4 positions, and this top one, it's just like maximum airflow, and then you can adjust it a little bit less, all the way to having the latches up and just a small crack to allow a little bit of airflow.
Outside, the Caravel has 3 awnings, and this is the fun part about camping. On here, that's your Ethernet coaxial cable, your smart plug. There's an outdoor shower with hot and cold available to you, single axle trailer. There's a potable water fill behind a locked door. And in the front is the A-frame with a powered hitch and propane tanks right behind it. And then behind that is your 200 amp hours of lithium batteries and a quick connect for a gas connection for any cooking. On the other side is a port for any solar panels you want to connect, rock guards on your Caravels, and a full-size spare tire underneath. This is the exterior storage, and it goes rather deep.